Jock Mountain with Dream Home Inspections, and today I have two real estate professionals with me, and we're going to talk about home ownership. I have Dion Lowe, the great realtor from here from Atlanta, and then we have Miss Jess Long. So basically, what we're going to do is take you through the process. Just stick with us for a few minutes and learn some stuff from these two great real estate professionals. They'll also give you their contact information at the end, so you can reach out to them to further take steps to buy homes. So D, why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
Hey, John. Hey, Jess. I appreciate you guys inviting me in. So listen, guys, when you first make that initial call, you usually reach out, call a realtor. That's a great step. That realtor, that professional, they should know exactly who to put you in touch with next. Because if you're not a cash client, we need a mortgage. So it's a team. You, the buyer, me, the realtor, the professional, and then Jess Long, the loan officer, and then Jock Mountain that's going to take care of the inspections with Dream Home to make sure that home, even if it's a new construction, is a quality home for you to go to the closing table. So again, thanks for making the first initial call, calling the realtor. And then we're going to do maybe a 15-minute consultation. Very simple. I'm going to ask you a few questions because I need to know exactly what your needs are. Sometimes it might be a person that works a W-2, a 9 to 5. It might be a person that's self-employed, business owner. You might be a doctor, attorney. You make great income, but your tax returns might not reflect the money that you make. Not a problem. We have programs for that. That's why next we're going to have Jess Long up that can tell you about different programs that will help the self-employed. So once we go through that, 15, 20-minute consultation, I'm going to make sure I set you up with my loan officer. Once my loan officer gets your details in regards to your income, your job status, or if you relocating, because a lot of people, they're relocating to Georgia from different states. We welcome you. We can take another family. So once, I turn you over to Jess Long, she's going to get details, and see exactly what's your buying power. Once we know your buying power, Jess is going to bring you back to me. She's going to say, hey, D, I can get this client X amount of dollars. They payment going to be this, because once Jess do all the paperwork that she needs that's necessary to get you that pre-approval, she's going to even have it broke down where she give you a worksheet that have the fees involved. Of course, this is an estimate, but it will let you know what you need, how much money you need to get to the closing table. Because I have worked with some loan officers, and I no longer work with them anymore, that don't give you the full picture. So, when you come to me, I'm like your advocate. I call myself the mother hen. I'm going to walk you through the steps. If you need me to hold your hand, I hold hands. We walk through this process together. You're never alone. So that's the importance of hiring you a professional. When you hire that professional, sometimes people hear the word hire and they think money. One thing about the state of Georgia, buyer's representation is free. You heard me, it's free. The seller of the builders pays my company commission. So I'm with Solid Source Realty, and the seller and the builder, they will pay for your representation, because it's just that important for you to have representation, because you're going with contracts. We're going to meet with attorneys. We're going to meet with the loan officers, the inspector. It's just a lot of things that it entails with purchasing a home. And it's just something that you don't want to go with alone. Sometimes you guys be online, you call these signs when you're driving by, and you say, hey, I can do this myself. That's not a good idea. If you haven't purchased a home, why would you walk it alone? That's why I'm just a big advocate on hire you a professional, hire you a full-time realtor. You want to make sure that person is going to protect your best interests. So that's my message I want to give to you guys today. And then, I'm going to turn you over to Jess Long so we can hear about the loan process. Then we're going to talk about when you come back to me, we find a home, go on a contract. I explain that contract to you. Of course, you're not going to understand a contract, but that's why you work with someone that you can trust. Anytime you have a question, I always tell you, don't hesitate, reach out to me. I'm going to, contact you if I don't answer the phone, and I'm going to help you with whatever, question that you might have. I'm going to walk you through the process. You are not alone. You just need to hire you a professional.
Beautiful.
So that's my spiel. So Jess Long or John, do you have a question, for a real estate professional?
Not at this moment.
Okay. I know I gave you guys a mouthful.
Good intro. That's a good intro. So go ahead, Miss Jess, take it from here.
My name is Jess Long, NMLS 450357. I work for New American Funding. That's who sponsors me, but inevitably I work for my clients. I do have to have a sponsor for it, but like I said, I work for my clients, and it's technically what's the greatest thing about all of us that are sitting here right now. It's really our own business, and the way that we grow our business is the trust that our clients entrust with us, because that's how we get it, is referrals. And when we make you happy, then hopefully you can send us on to somebody else. But I want to talk a little bit about, especially what Dee said, just about the entrusting them and to have that professional that you need, and just that trinity, I guess it would be, of it's your client, it's your agent, it's your lender, but it's also your agent knowing the correct inspector, the correct people. As far as, like I said, with your home inspections, it's very, very important as far as to make sure you've got somebody that catches everything, that does a very thorough report, because you do not want to go into a home, whether, like she said, it's new construction or it's standing inventory, that, or, resale, that's not right. That can cause a lot of problems down the road, and cause a lot of money down the road. But number one, today, I know the market's a bit different. Just from my perspective and background, I eat, sleep, and breathe it. I am almost 20 years into this. I'm actually 19 years, so I'm aging myself right now. I don't know what else to do, because I love putting people into homes. So I just did want to touch a bit on home ownership, as far as why it's always good. And historically, to look back, if you go back into the 1980s, we were in the high teens for interest rates. Was that a good time to own a home? Yeah, it was. You had security for your future. You were building equity. You didn't have a house payment when you retired in 30 years. The income tax benefits are amazing, as far as your mortgage write-offs for your property taxes and that interest deduction. You're not going to have your landlord all of a sudden that you've been so, just really good to, and paid everything you were supposed to every month, come up and all of a sudden your rent's $500 more. And you realize, after all these years of renting, if you've rented a house for $1,000 a month, I mean, that's $12,000 in a year. Compound that into 5 years, that's $60,000 of nothing that you have. You have nothing. You really don't. So, and then you have pride in your home. When it's your home, home is where your heart is. You go home at night and it's your home. You can paint it whatever color you want to, besides if you do get an HOA, which we'll discuss that in a later session. And do about whatever you want to, and it's yours, and you raise your family in that home where you want to be, close to your school, or to their schools, and to your work. And as stated, you have a neighborhood that's yours. It's not something that you're going to be, like I said, when the landlord raises rent, you don't have any choice to leave. So as a lender, yes, not all lenders are created equal, and not all mortgage companies are created equal. I'm very thorough. I get full file. I really don't have much of a life, honestly. So I eat, sleep, and breathe guidelines, read them constantly. I do all sorts of types of loans, and we could go into different ones, but just to touch on them, if you're a veteran, there's a lot of things that you don't know that other lenders may not know, because that's their job. You as a person out there, I can't come do your job. As a lender, I'm supposed to educate you on what you have. It's disheartening to see how many people get disheartened about homeownership because they've been told this, or their friends told them that because a different lender did. And it's only because they weren't educated enough themselves to know the guidelines. So whether or not you're ready today or tomorrow, then yes, there is a program, there is a pathway, there is a loan program, there is 100% programs out there that can help you to get there. It's just when you walk in the light, once you're told the path you need to go on, you're no longer stumbling out in the dark. And it's very much simpler to get your home ownership. And it's not so scary. A statistical fact of, and it was one of the saddest things I've ever read, the 5th most stressful event in your life was buying a home. I had to read that about 10 times when I saw it. It was behind death of a loved one, divorce, terminal illness, and job loss.
Wow.
And I just couldn't imagine, how is that possible? How is it so hard? But then I realized is that as much as I might get a lot upfront from you, I'm going to ask you full file so that it's streamlined when we go through the process. But it's not going to be a rocket mortgage that you go on and all of a sudden they're issuing this approval letter based upon what you put in, because there's so many variances. Like Dee said, you can be self-employed, and yes, are you making that money every month? Yes, but are you showing it? No. So that's where you come into your bank statement programs and different programs such as that. As far as if you're in a rural area, there are USDA loans. They are 100% financing. As I stated with veterans, I love my veterans. Sometimes they only think that you can have, and thank you for service, one loan. That's not true. You have what's called bonus entitlement. And even on our conventional loans, you can go down to as low as 3%. There's different grant programs out there that go hand in hand with each one of these programs and can help you. Some are income-based and some are not. But like you said, the first step is that you're here, you're watching us, you're listening to us, and our job is really to protect you and educate you, because we don't want to be the lender that sits at a call desk taking the call, or a realtor that doesn't care, or a home inspector that doesn't do their job. We really do want to help you to make sure that you are protected. It is the largest financial investment you're ever going to make in your life. And is it scary? Yeah, change is scary, but it's a great change, and it is empowering. And I promise, like I said, when you go home and you pull in your driveway and it's yours, it's amazing. You think buying a new car is great. Imagine it being your home. And whether you're a first-time buyer, whether you're wanting to sell and buy, the buying process has gotten so different, and it changes and evolves all the time. So if you bought your home in 97, trust me, it's nothing like it is today. But that's okay. We've got you covered. And we just, like I said, want to make sure that you are comfortable with this process. And it is that holy trinity of togetherness. You're comfortable. And as Dee stated, we've had so many clients move across the United States, right, Dee?
Correct.
And that's scary in itself. It's not moving from a different neighborhood from one to the other, but to make that a streamlined process of where you feel good about the home you're moving into, because you know you have the right inspector, the agent who kept in contact constantly with your realtor that was in a different state, and the lender that always was there with you, and your agent guiding you through the process, telling you your rates, telling you your payment, making sure you were fine with it. Anybody can pre-qualify you for what you qualify for. My biggest thing is, my first question I ask anybody is, what do you want your mortgage to be? Now, remember, it includes your taxes and your insurance. But the thing is, you may qualify for $750,000. If you don't want that payment, that's not okay. So, as stated, that's why I said not all lenders are created equal, and not all lending institutions are created equal. So I appreciate everybody's time, and I'm going to give it to John.
All right, I do have a question for you, Jess. I heard you say 2 times full file. I get full file. What does that mean?
So full file means that it's pay stubs at least 30 days. If you're variable pay, I'm going to get your last pay stubs for, let's say, the last 2 years, if you've been there for 2 years. Each loan program uses different items as far as how you are to calculate that income, as far as overtime or bonus. I get your bank statements. I get your 401k. I get your W-2s. If your income is complex, as far as like, let's say you're a travel nurse, or let's say you're just a regular nurse, so it gets shift differential or something such as that, I won't give you an approval until I get your written verification of employment, which I send out. And it's not hard to get whatsoever. I send you a form, you sign it, I send it out. I usually have it back in 24 to 48 hours. But I don't issue a pre-qual without having the full file in front of me. I've also had loans, and Dee can attest that I've had to go to VA or FHA and ask for, can I do this? I've had, we had a client moving from Florida. Just for example, he had been in the same industry for the last 15 years. But with VA, you're not supposed to close with stated income, quote unquote, an offer letter. But because he'd been in the same industry and they could see I already gotten his verification of employment literally back to what, 1997.
Right, exactly.
They could see the step and they granted that to us. But I don't ever want my borrower to lose any earnest money, ever. And like I said, I don't want anybody to go into a home loving that home and then all of a sudden they don't qualify for it. That's the worst thing. And that to me is the disheartening thing of where you don't even want to try anymore. And that they don't think that they can, and it's not true. And like I said, I hear that story over and over again, and it absolutely breaks my heart. And I would just never do that. So full file is pretty simple. Like I said, 30 days of pay stubs, 2 years of W-2s. If you're self-employed, then 2 years of tax returns. At certain programs, yes, we can use 1 year. It just depends upon the profile. And like I said, 401k, driver's license, Social Security. It's not hard to turn in, but you have to remember also, we've got so many programs out there, even with our standard programs. I never just put one person in a box. It has to be the best loan for them. And I look at it at all angles to ensure I am doing the correct thing for our client.
Gotcha. All right, another thing you said. Now I know some mortgage companies allow you to get online and just punch your numbers in. Why is that doing, the home buyer a disservice?
Because you don't really have an approval.
Okay.
When you look at what you make, and it's amazing to me how many times somebody understates their income and how many somebody overstates their income.
Okay.
So, but with that still being said, a human needs to look, a lender, a lender who knows what they're looking at, because as stated, you might have a garnishment you're not thinking about that's on your pay stubs. You might have something else that's coming up that we don't know about. The student loan payments, there's all sorts of different things that we can do now, which they've actually gotten so much better at it, especially with FHA and with conventional within the last year and a half. So having that conversation and talking to a human being, you're going to a call center when you're just going online a lot of time. And I hate to say it like this, a lot of people got in this industry during 2020 when rates dropped. They thought they were going to come in and make a quick dime, right? They didn't ever do a purchase. They just sat there and lived on refinances. Purchases on refinances they're a horse of a different color. And right now, especially in this market, you've got a domino effect where you've got a buyer buying, but the seller also is buying, and then it becomes a 3, 4, 5 domino effect. So if you've got one loan person that you just went online and got a pre-qual, that they never asked for your upfront documentation and never really fully looked at you, they let a system do it. You stop that chain and it doesn't become you, which is disheartening to me too, is that it becomes all these families who thought they were going to move.
Gotcha.
And I've never seen chain reactions so much as I have since about summer 2020.
Correct. With a lot of people selling to purchase the next home.
All it takes is that one pre-qual that you got from a computer, and it stops all the other families too, not just you. So your heart just didn't get broken. Everybody else's did.
Yeah.
And everybody else is scrambling. And so it's to have a relationship with your loan officer. I have a 706 number. I started doing this outside of Fort Gordon. I won't change my number ever because I'm still called by my clients, their kids, their grandkids. It becomes a relationship, and it does, like Dee stated, with your agents and with everybody that you have, because that's who you trust. That's your person that when taxes come out and you don't understand your escrow bill, they pick up the phone. They pick up the phone. I get more phone calls from, I probably get 10 to 15, and I pick up the phone at least twice a day because I just want to see how they're doing. Doesn't matter if I closed them 15 years ago. I just want to check on them and their family because they're important to me. But you build that lifelong trust and relationship that you don't get with a call center, or you don't get with an online, and you don't get that assurity of we're going to be fine, or we're a little squirrely. Let's go ahead and get an answer from VA or FHA. Can we do this? Can we get an exception? Is this okay? And going into your home purchase, I'm not going to lose my earnest money. I'm not going to let my kids think we're moving into this beautiful home that all of a sudden you can't.
Right.
Life's full of surprises and trials and tribulations enough. The last thing you need is your mortgage lender telling you you've really never qualified. It was just based upon the information you put in.
Beautiful. So let's just say somebody qualifies for, let's just say 400,000, and then you turn them back over to D, correct?
Correct.
What do they leave you with? What do they have when they leave?
So what they have is they know they have a firm approval, and D does too. We go out there and we look with full certainty that when we go under contract with this house and we give up that earnest money, we're not concerned.
Okay.
I can't say, and I hate to even put this on tape, but I have had a couple clients that, bless their hearts, they lost their job a couple of days before closing. Sometimes the inevitable does happen.
Yes.
You can't foresee it.
Right.
But when that didn't happen, like I said, even with the people that we've had exceptions for from VA, we've got it in writing that yes, we can do this. But sometimes it took us 48 to 72 hours. But patience is virtue, especially when your money's on the line and your house is on the line. Let's just make sure we have everything. This is not a rush process. This is not something that you go in and rush and you see a house and blah blah and I just want it. And no, we need to make sure, number one, that's where you come in too, is the inspection good. The house can be beautiful on the outside as it can be, but then on the insides, it could be just horrible and horrific. And you're, like I said, in for a world of hurt as far as an HVAC system going out, or your roof starting to leak, or the pipe starting to burst. So it does move fast. We close, literally, my average close time last year was 18 days from start to finish. But it's still, that didn't include the time it took me to get your information, make sure I had full file, make sure if I needed a written verification of employment that that your employer has turned this into us, and to make sure that you feel sound and secure when you're going into your contract. Anybody can write a contract. Anybody can write a pre-qual. It's when you're going to close. That's the difference.
All right. So D, they come to you. They've been qualified by Jess. They got $400,000 to spend. What do you do at that point?
So when they come back to me, it's a big congratulations, because that's a huge accomplishment.
It is.
So then we get to the fun part, because, everybody want to get to the part of shopping for the home. Because sometimes when I'm doing my consultation, they want to say, hey, D, I need 5 bedrooms. I need a finished basement. I need this and that. I say, hold on a minute. We're going to get to the fun part. Let's take care of the business side of it. And that's seeing what your buying power is. And like Jess mentioned, are you comfortable with that payment that go with that pre-approval? Because I'm always in the best interest of my client.
Correct.
You have to live with that payment month after month after month. And I always explain to my clients, especially my first-time home buyers, buying a home is emotional. It's emotional. especially when you touch, feel, and see. I want. But I'm gonna be the one to remind them, you remember, you told me you didn't want your payment to go over X amount of dollars? Yes, I work for you, but I'm still your advocate and your reminder.
Correct.
So once they come back to me, we start looking for homes. You know, I get the criteria of what they're looking for. I start searching. A lot of times, if they're looking for a new construction, I'm already in relationships with a lot of builders, and I know exactly where to take these clients to. Once we go and, you know, shop and look, and they say, hey, D, I want to move forward with this home, that's when I start, you know, negotiating on their behalf. Like, we going into that buyer's market. We getting a little concessions from the sellers. Yay. So that means that I can get some money to go towards your closing costs, maybe even get, you know, the price reduced. It just all depends. It varies from seller to seller. And then once we get under contract, that's when they say, hey, D, what do I do next? And that's when I send them the email letting them know you need to get with a home inspector, because we only have a certain amount of days for you to be able to get your home inspected to see if you want to move forward. And if you don't want to move forward, we can get your earnest money back.
Right.
And that's when, you know, they reach out to Job. If it's a resale home, Job go through it, give us our report 99% of the time the same day. Is that correct, Job? You and your inspectors, they get that report back that same evening if they had a morning appointment.
Correct.
Once we go over that inspection, and like I stated, if it's a resale, if there's anything that the client doesn't feel comfortable with, I ask them to give Jock maybe a call just to be clear on, you know, what I'm reading, you know, kind of break that down. What did you see? And then at that time, we can make the best decision to see if they want to continue with the contract. Because in my mind, I see a lot of inspection report. It can be 30 things on the list. To me, that's not a big deal. That's just to me. But a lot of buyers, they kind of panic and like, oh, it's a lot of things on this list. But it depends on what it is, because Jock them is thorough. They go see everything, a loose outlet on the wall, you know, not hard to fix. But again, it just gives the client the opportunity to say, hey, I'm at peace with this purchase and I want to move forward. And then if they, you know, want to move forward, it might be some items on there that at that time I can negotiate again with the seller on the client's behalf. Meaning that, you know, say a toilet is loose, or you got some drywall issues where you got a stain where they once had a leak or something like that. My advice to the client is, everybody's definition of repair or fix is different. So I always tell the client, hey, let me go negotiate on your behalf. You know, how much do you think is worth to you for you to move forward? If the seller was to say, hey, I give you X amount of dollars, because if the seller try to fix what you don't like, once we go back and do the re-inspect when they hire Jock to see if they fixed it correctly or whatever that is, it just might be a problem at that point where the buyer is still not happy. But if you just get compensated for that repair, everybody walks away happy. And then you can just get it repaired after you close. And then with new construction, I get a lot of clients that say, hey, D, why would I need an inspection and it's new construction? And you know what my answer is? I said, because it's built by humans.
That's right.
And we make mistakes. And what I have learned, you know, with the new construction, when you're building from the ground up and you get that opportunity to watch the trusses go up and everything like that, one of the common problems is when you do your pre-wall, pre-drywall inspection is a broken truss.
Amen.
Is that correct, Job?
You are correct.
And if you didn't hire Dream Home Inspections or another inspection companies, because we're here to give you information. We hope that you will hire us, but we're trying to give you great information to get you through the home buying process, you know, without being stressed.
Right.
So with that broken trust, when you building, you know, from the ground up, from dirt up, as they call it, if you didn't get that pre-drywall home inspection, drywall is going over those broken trusses and you don't know what type of problems you'll have down the line. But that falls on the buyer at that time because you didn't get your pre-drywall inspection.
Correct. And the county can't see it. It's hidden.
It's hidden. So, you know, it's just very important. I'm just big on like insurance, inspections. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So me as your advocate, I do advise you, by law, you don't have to have an inspection. So I let that be known to the client. And I'm gonna say maybe 1 in every 100 clients, they might deny getting a home inspection.
But for your protection,
But for your protection, you know,
get a
we
home
advise
inspection.
you to get that home inspection. But it's totally up to you, the client.
Now, Jox,
So-
let me ask you a question.
Yes.
I've had numerous homes that clients didn't get home inspections and it ended up having foundation issues. The Ram Jack, I know I've seen a couple companies out there. What do you think is the cost as far as if you do have a foundation issue? What would be the cost as far as just a ballpark, depending upon how bad from low ball to high ball that could cost just because you didn't see that?
I've seen a minimum of 10,000.
Yep.
And I've seen as high as 50.
And then as far as with, I see a lot of the double tap breaker boxes.
Yeah.
What would you think that a low ball and a high ball to get that fixed would cost?
Just a couple $100.
And so they can just, then no additional panel boxes.
No, not unless it's full, but normally they can just change out the breakers, add an extra breaker. Yeah.
I
so
see that a lot on inspection
Yeah.
reports, and I
That's
didn't
what
know the
they're
cost of that also.
Mhm.
So, but I see it constantly.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
I
it's
said,
a
with the
regular
foundation, it's amazing to me how much, or even, but I mean, as far as with a double tap breaker, I mean, how much of a fire hazard is that?
Somewhat. Yeah, it's enough to cause concern.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
nobody wants that.
Right. Right.
No. So like I said, I'm just thinking back to all the reports because no offense to the lender, I try not to see them, but I do sometimes.
Right.
We don't, of course, require them. But when there is an issue that is brought up, like Dee says, when she's about to go back, you know, to the agent that's selling the home for our buyer, and she'll send it to me. And so, like I said, but I know that I have seen so many things that, and I get a big concern about it. Like the fire, it's amazing to me that, you know, but nobody wants that. But how many times a breaker box is double tapped?
Oh yeah, that's a regular. Now, Dee, let me ask you this, since she brought that up. So let's just say that the seller says, well, hey, you know, we saw the report, but you know, we're not gonna fix it. You know, it's as is, you know. So what do they do at that point?
And you know, in the listing going in, sometime that listing agent might have as is, right?
Mhm.
And I've had clients where they say, Dee, you know what? I don't even want to view a property that says as is. I said, trust me, let's go see the property because they mentioned as is in the listing, but everything is negotiable. And then it just depends on the market.
Right.
So yeah, when we was in that hot seller market at one time, hey, don't ask the seller for anything. Matter of fact, give them extra money and one of your kids, you know, if to get the house. But in a normal market, which we are going towards a normal market, I can on your behalf negotiate even if they market it as an as is property.
And Dee, if it's a FHA or VA loan, the new mandatory clause that came out, we do have to list. We usually list about what, 500?
Exactly.
So Jox was talking about it. If it was a couple hundred for a double tap box, which we see constantly, that would have covered it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'll jump in right here. For those who may not be familiar with home inspections, number one, in the state of Georgia, there is no license for home inspectors in the state of Georgia. So there is no website you can go to look up somebody to see if they are certified in the state or anything like that. So the only thing Georgia has for home inspectors is certification, and that is not required. So Dion could be a home inspector, Jess could be a home inspector, they could be D&J home inspections, and can't nobody stop them because the state doesn't have anything. So one of the things I tell people, I teach home buying seminars on a regular basis, is number one, find out who the inspector is. I've been inspecting homes for 16 years, over 10,000 homes I've inspected. I've done 203K renovations. I do commercial inspections. So I have a lot of experience, and not all inspectors will. I was new at one point, but you want to know who you're working with and where they're coming from. As Dion talked about earlier, now with new construction, our bigger builders, they're not even gonna let you come out there if you're brand new, because they're gonna ask for code certification, the ICC, they're gonna ask for E&O, and those are things that, I have, but those are tests you have to pass, not just take a certification class to become a home inspector. So with that being said, when we come out, what are we looking for? What is a home inspector really looking for? So when we come out, we're looking for what I like to call the big five. And this keeps it simple for people. Jess already hit on one of the big five. That's the foundation. Also, there's a roof. And then the three components you need to live in the home, which is heating and air, electrical, and plumbing. So that's the main five we're concerned with, because any of those five can cost you thousands of dollars of problems. Jess talked about the foundation on 203K. Those are renovation loans that we do. We see foundation repairs. Easily 10,000 is just them guys pulling up like, yeah, it's 10 grand to fix this. And then we go up from there. So you don't want to miss something like that on the sake of, well, I need to hurry up and move. Because, I hear the same stories that you guys hear. We're coming in from Boston. We got to get in here quickly. My wife starts her new job in 2 weeks. But you got major issues, foundation issues or roof issues. One of the things about Georgia is we have a roof that is specific to Georgia that is a manufacturer recall. It's an Atlas Chalet, came right out of Henry County. So that's something specific to us here in the state of Georgia. And then, of course, with electrical, the loose outlets, double tap breakers, those type of things are common. Plumbing, if you buy an older home and you got cast iron pipes or polybutylene, all of these are old, they're defective. The polybutylene pipes just burst without warning. The company that made them got sued for $950 million in a class action lawsuit. You want to know that before you go into the home.
My old house, when I first moved here in 2013, it was that January. I walked into an ice skating rink in my basement, and then the other ones upstairs bust again. I went down to the second floor, and Tripp and I walked down into literally ankle deep water. So I can attest for that.
Wow. Yeah, polybutylene is everywhere. It was used from 1978 to 1995. So millions of homes have polybutylene. So we're just saying to you, and like Dion said earlier, if you don't use us, that's fine. We just want to give you the information because there are other good professionals out here that do good jobs, that do good inspections, but we want you to know what you're looking for when you go out to look for these professionals. So we're going to hit the big five. And one of the things I talk to people about is as is properties. And that's why I brought that up, D, because I've had people say, I'm only calling you because my agent made me call because this home is as is. They ain't gonna fix nothing no way. And I just always tell them, I said, just because they're selling it as is, doesn't mean you want to buy it as is. You know what I'm saying? Because, that house may be messed up. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. It might just be messed up. You don't want that
exactly.
messed up house. Right. A bad as is house. So you don't want it.
Right.
So, we want you to be informed. And one of the things I heard Jess kept saying was, it breaks my heart. This is my passion. I don't know what else I'm gonna do. I love this. This is what I do. Dion kept saying, hire a professional. Let me know what you're doing. Because we care about the people. We've gone through the ups and downs of the market, and we're still here because we enjoy what we do. And during this process, I'm not going to talk to you about your interest rate. I've had clients come to me and say, well, hey, I got a 4.65. What do you think that's good for me? I have no idea. I have no clue. So don't ask me. You know what I'm saying? Well, they said, hey, I don't know what they said. You turned in your paperwork, so don't ask me that. Well, my realtor told me that, this house is, and I don't know the worth of the house. I don't even really care what the house costs. I just want to inspect the condition of it. So one of the main things about us is we stay in our lane,
Amen.
give you the information that you need. If you ask me about the interest rate, I'm gonna say, call Jess. Well, I want to look at another house because I don't really like what we're finding. We'll call Dion, but let me finish doing what I'm doing today. So we like to just provide information. And I'm glad we have this conversation going like this, because I'm just, all I'm hearing is passion and education. Passion and education. And Dion and I, we've been on home buying seminars, you know, at our local church. You know, we done seminars together there because we want people to be informed. And then lastly, what Jess said, which I thought was great, people get discouraged because they get bad information. And I know, you know, loan officers from different companies. And once again, they're not all created equal just because they just don't know enough. You know what I'm saying? And it's been amazing to me how I've seen even family members who went to a certain mortgage company, could not purchase. And I said, listen, I said, why did you do that? Let me introduce you to somebody because I'm in the industry. And then they was like, oh my God, I can't believe we got approved because the other lady said, but you know, experience does matter. You know what I'm saying? Once you've been around long enough. So all I want to say is this was great. I thought this was good information, you know, because, you know, once it gets to me, I'm just going to do the inspection, write you the report, give it back to Dion, and then you guys negotiate with the seller for what needs to get done. And then I guess after that, we're going to have the appraisal, Jess, and
Correct.
on the closing from there.
So you're my due diligence period. So when D writes the contract, we go under a due diligence period.
Yes.
So we shortened it up starting in, well, what, D 2020, March or summer 2020. We did it like 3 days. So that's when
some days it was, some homes it was
like no time. That's where you came in so good for us because you're so fast. Because the longer the due diligence period, we weren't getting the contract.
Right, exactly.
So, but with that being said, no, so you are our due diligence. Like I said, you are a very great part of this to make sure that that home that we're, you know, that our client is purchasing is fine and that they're not going to have those extra expenses because, you know, when you've saved your money and you've worked so hard for home ownership and you really have put aside, the last thing you need, as you stated, is your foundation to not be okay, or your HVAC to go out the week after you close, or a polybutylene pipe to bust. The last thing that you need to happen. And that's why it is very, to me, as much as the value and an appraisal is on the house, an inspection is so much more, because then that's the house you should be buying.
Right. And let me jump back in there because you reminded me of something. So let me say this and I'll be done with my part for the night.
I have a question for you when you get finished.
Yes, ma'am. There is a difference between a county or city inspection and a personal home inspection.
Correct.
I'm a part of a large organization here in Georgia. It's called the Georgia Association of Home Inspectors. And a lot of our inspectors are city and county inspectors. And they have a list of 10 electrical things, 8 plumbing things that they're looking for. But if they did a full inspection on the home like we do, they would never be able to complete their job because they inspect 20 to 25 homes a day. They go in and check for those 6 or 7, 8 things, and they're going on to the next home. So if you're buying a brand new home, you do not want to skip the home inspection process because people build homes. People make mistakes. They overlook things. They drink on the job. They do other stuff on the job. And sometimes the homes are just not right. So please know that the county or city can inspect the home. Doesn't mean everything is perfect. And here's the bomb that I want to drop on you. In Georgia, there are only 2 cities that require a roof inspection. 2 in the whole state. Roof inspection is not required. It's not even in the code book. And that's East Point and Johns Creek. So that means the 100,000 homes that are being built the next 2 or 3, 4 years, nobody's checking the roof but us. So if you don't get a home inspection, your roof may not be inspected. So that's a big one. So I'll let you guys close it out from there.
How many times did we not pass final inspection that we got held up? How many times do you think?
That we didn't pass final?
with the county.
Mm,
Quite a few,
Yeah,
yeah,
quite
yeah,
a few.
yeah, happens all the time.
right.
So now you just scold me because they're not checking everything like you did. So if they're just checking those small things, what
Mhm.
else is missed?
If
Yeah.
they're checking at all, no disrespect to the county and city inspectors, but their workload is so hefty
Right,
and they are one human being.
right,
Yeah,
And they're not there for you. When you hire your inspector, he's there solely for you.
yes, yes, and you cannot sue the city or the county inspector. You can't sue them. So if you say, hey, they missed this and this wasn't right, that's a losing battle. You can't sue them. So we want you to be informed. Dee, you said you had a question for me.
I have a question for you in regards to inspections, like, people hear about the final inspection or a home inspection because some first-time home buyers, they go to the 8-hour programs as far as, for home ownership, learn about inspections. But just to go a little further as far as what you offer, I know it was one time where a buyer had the home inspected and it was on a basement and radon was the problem.
Mhm.
Something that people probably never even think about. So that's an additional layer to a regular inspection, right? If a person want to get a radon inspection or mold inspection, you guys offer that as well?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yes, considering that this is Radon Awareness Month.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yes, so radon is the #2 cause of lung cancer in America. The only thing that causes more lung cancer in America is cigarette smoke. And you can't smell radon, you can't taste radon. If you live in the state of Georgia, you have radon in your home. And if you live in Metro Atlanta, we have the highest levels of radon. So what we want to do is come in and test the home. It's a quick 48-hour test, and we'll let you know whether you have high levels of radon in the home. Now, if you're going to be using your basement, we recommend automatically right off the bat, you get a radon test and mold, because mold grows and people don't even know it's there. I mean, it's there, and it, sometimes looks like green and yellowish pollen just growing on the wood. And they thought, oh man, I just thought that was dust. And then you wonder why you move in and 3-6 months later, you're coughing, sneezing, respiratory problems, things that we didn't have before we moved into this home. You could very easily have mold growing. So yes, thank you so much for that, Dion. So all of those are additional things because ultimately we want you to know everything you can about the home. We're not trying to hide anything from you. Dion and Jess and I, we're not in cahoots. Let's not tell them this so they can go ahead and buy and we can go ahead and close. Because in the end, the lawsuit's coming and you know whose name gonna be on it? Mine. And so we're not playing those games. We're all about educating you, helping you get the best interest rate, the best loan, the best home, the best inspection, so that you can end up living where you want to live. And be assured that, man, I went through the process, everybody educated me well, and I feel good about going to the closing table.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
We're here to serve.
Amen.
Yes. So I am good. Dion, why don't you give them your phone number, how they can contact you or follow you on social media, and Jess, you do the same.
All right. So, as I stated, I'm Dion Lowe, but in the industry, everybody call me D Lowe. And you can go on my YouTube channel, just put in DLOWE and I will pop up. My direct cell number is 770-885-3790. Again, that's 770-885-3790. So again, go, on my YouTube. I have additional information on there in regards to all my other social media platforms. But I think you'll get a lot of information if you go to the YouTube channel.
Beautiful.
Right. And I'm Jess Long, and my telephone number is 706-589-4248. I'm not as big on social media as Dee is. I'm striving, but that is the best way to contact me. You can find me on my website though, And it's long, but if you just type in your Google search bar, Jess Long at New American Funding, you'll find me right there. It'll take you to all my social media platforms.
Beautiful. And I'm Jock Mountain. I'm on Instagram. I am Mr. Dream Home Inspections. That's the name of our company. So I'm Mr. MR Dream Home Inspections, and my wife is Mrs. Dream Home Inspections. And so we're all about educating home buyers, and we even train and teach other home inspectors how to have a business. So that's what we're all about. And then our number is 678-516-9467. So we appreciate you all getting on. Thank you, Dion. Thank you, Jess. This was great. A lot of good information. And we look forward to working with you all in the future. So you all have a good day.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, loves.